Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to another Best Builders video. So, today we have 3 more camps that I've pulled out of the game, and we're going to take a little look around, see if we get a little bit of inspiration and maybe a few ideas. So, without too much further ado, let's dive into camp number 1. Okay, so camp number 1 here is at a rather classic spot, just on the edge of Morgantown there, under the train bridge. And if we take a look, we can see it's coming from Professor Pokey. Got quite a lot of lights on this one. Very nice. Let's add one more. And yeah, this is a fun one. There are technically a couple of bits and pieces on the top of the train bridge, but they're just kind of isolated individual things as opposed to part of the main build per se. We'll focus on the cool bit down here, I think. And yeah, there's some interesting stuff. It blends impressively well into the stonework underneath the bridge, which is surprising given the textures chosen, but hey, if it works, right? Quite a slopey bit of ground here. They've done a great job of actually kind of drawing the eye away from the bare face of the foundations, which is cool, because generally that can be a little bit weird looking sometimes, or a little boring looking, but they've done a good job with this one. So, we've got a nice porch here with a nice bit of contrast on the light-coloured wood and the dark-coloured walls there. Works quite nicely. We're heading to a rather clean interior. It's definitely a clean vibe on this one. In fact, we've got a couple of clean camps today. I quite like this TV fish roll thing in front of the sofa thing. It's kind of a very chill zen vibe to it. It's quite fun. A few Fashnak masks on display there. These mask stands and the like, and the same for the backpack stands, but they really need to shrink down the distance between the object on them and the actual wall mounting because they stick way too far out. But yeah, lots of displays, lots of cool bits and pieces, and a nice open plan layout, or relatively open plan, in that it's nice and easy to move around this space anyway, which is always a win. We come into quite a large kitchen, and that is one thing I might have done a little differently, is maybe just shrunk everything down just a little bit, because there's a lot of open empty space, but it's kind of got that clean vibe, so it just kind of worked, and there's a nice contrast between dark walls and light floors and that sort of thing going on throughout this build. It's nice merge work. I might have skipped the merged sink there and gone with the one that actually snaps into place, because then you don't have the surface of the worktop clipping through the sink, but otherwise, pretty cool. A few essentials in there. Definitely have to find some alternative uses for that brewing station, the Nuka-Cola one, because I feel like I don't get the most out of that. Always good to see that around. Nice crafting space in here. And this is 1.5 walls high, so quite a high-ceilinged room, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This time, it does work. It feels good, that one. I like the proportions on it. Quite a busy little bedroom here. Quite like the decoration in here. It's kind of homely, welcoming, but neat and tidy at the same time. Everything kind of ties together. The use of the glass walls work really well as well to bring a lot of extra, in big air quotes, natural, in a video game, light into the space, which is quite fun too. Yeah, I like it. Particularly with this room, there's a lot of stuff that's stuck to the walls in here, and as I always say, pulling stuff off the walls and using the space in a bit more of a three-dimensional way is always good. In this case, most of it doesn't kind of catch my eye too much. It's that crafting space I might have tried to mix things up a bit more. But it's also where I would usually do that, so that's probably why it's catching my eye there. So yeah, here you can really see we've got some vertical surfaces of foundations there, and those things usually look jarring to me, but here, it's actually working quite nicely. And they've got a few bits and pieces out in front of it, like the shelter entrance and stuff, that kind of breaks up the surface, so it goes a long way to making it look a lot less intrusive. An interesting little greenhouse stroke resource extractor room there, I suppose. Not a lot of empty space, but still, does the job. We'll head on out. We've got a few more bits and pieces on the little, what do we call it? It's not a balcony, it's not really a porch, but front open area. There's got to be a word for that that's escaping me, but yeah, I like the look of this. Nice use of natural lights, interesting contrasts, and quite a appealing, clean build there, I think. So, we are taking it in kind of the opposite direction for camp number 2. We're staying in the forest. In fact, all 3 camps are actually in the forest today, down at the bottom here. And this one is coming from Senpai. I'm not going to try and figure out how the last bit's supposed to be pronounced. But we have a cool kind of... Well, it's not really a barn or an apartment or a hotel or anything like that, to be honest. I'm not quite sure why the random words have been selected. But hey, it's a cool build, so that's really all we need, isn't it? Police car there being on the road anyway, so if you're actually looking for where this place is, that'll help you find it, because that thing's just a normal in-situ thing. And we've got the hunting lodge, is it? It was from season last summer, summer before last, maybe even now. It's been a while anyway. Summer before last. It was quite nice, this thing. It's big and clean. And it's quite good for a self-contained camp if you want to go down that road, or for something that just looks neat, tidy, and clean. I kind of like the power armor display under the tree there. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it works. It's not something I'd normally do, just place something like that outside, but in this case, combination of the lighting maybe and the tree arching over the top works quite well. See, shed's a little bit on the empty side, but I think it's more of a hide some functional bits rather than anything else part of the build. Lots of little bits and pieces attached on the outside and for breaking up the surfaces and stuff, which is nice. I do kind of like the Red Rocket robot vendor there. That guy always makes me think Resident Evil 4. It is quite entertaining. And definitely slightly less risque than what else it could possibly be implying with that big coat. But anyway, moving on, let's have a look at the inside. Lots of warm orange light in this place, which is always cool. I do prefer that in my camp builds. He says, ironically, sitting in a room where he's deliberately moved away from that. There we go. Yeah, nice, cosy little space. Got the fireplace down there. That's part of the structure, I believe. And then workbench. I think there's room for a few more bits and pieces of decorations or stuff on surfaces in here. I feel like the use of space is a little bit struggling in a functional sense, maybe here. You know, if you've got a space and you're not quite sure what to do with it vibes, as opposed to having a distinct theme to it. But they've managed to make the space sort of welcoming and homely, which is always cool. I do like putting stuff on these stairs. That's a thing I think I did when I built with this thing, not long after it came out. But yeah, it works quite nicely. That raider bed is a funny old object. Like, yep, it's definitely got raider vibes, and if you do a hardcore raider camp, it would fit in. The rest of the time, it's just kind of... I'd look at that and think, you know what, mate, I'll sleep on the floor. Just for me, I think I would... that's the choice I'd make. So that's why I personally don't use it, but it's an interesting and supposedly complex piece, actually, which is quite cool. Heading on outside. We're struggling a little bit with the animation on the trees, apparently. It's a nice balcony out here, and the hot tub does fit in quite nicely as well. It just slides right in that gap really, really well, which is... I've seen a few people putting their hot tubs there, I think, for that reason, and it's a nice fit. I'll swing around. We're coming down to some add-ons onto the back of this place that I think are my favourite part of the camp. Yeah, kind of hard to exactly put a finger on why they work as well as they do, but they do. So this is the pavilion set, combined with some foundations, and some vines on the outside. Just make for a nice kind of almost botanical gardens kind of vibe in a way to it. It's not quite what I mean, but it's close enough. And we've got all the crafting benches out here, and a bunch of resource producers as well. And somehow the step up into this planter, the it's not greenhouse really, is it? The food cage. Nuka-Cola growing space, these were also a season reward a way back, works quite nicely. Anyway, these things snap together, but they don't snap to anything other than themselves, so it can be a bit annoying using those sometimes, but it works quite nicely there. I do really like this space. Reminds me, I must get round to picking up that butterfly thingamajig there. It's on the Atomic Shop at the moment as an individual piece, and you can pick it up, but you have to dig through the menus to find it. Couple of nice bits and pieces out back here. I think this is just using the space because it's available. It works. A couple of bits maybe floating there on this side as well that I would perhaps have moved elsewhere, but otherwise not too shabby. I mentioned in the last video I did in this style, the last best builds coverage, about some of the weather choices that people make. There's one of the more extreme weather types that people set up in the camp using the weather machines, which can be a bit much because you can't really see what's going on. This camp is using a different one, and works quite well. This is the Skyline Valley weather effect, I believe. But this works a little bit better. You can kind of see what's going on more. It adds atmosphere without, at least with the lighting, does a really good job of actually showcasing what you've got there. And as a random object, I really do like that rusted out police car. It's a nod to whoever at Bethesda designed that thing, because it's cool. Yeah, I quite like this camp. The atmosphere and particularly the outer areas work particularly nicely for me, those two walkways. So, camp number 3. This one is the smallest of the lot. It's another very, very clean one, and a bit further north into the forest, a cottage greenhouse homestead build. That fairly accurately describes it. And it comes from the witch vibes. Not really witchy vibes in this particular camp, though. Although it does make me wonder what kind of a witchy cabin could we build. Perhaps one for Halloween, really, that one. But yeah, this is a nice kind of country cabin vibe, like the white picket fence. It works well with this particular build. Sometimes clean stuff like that can be a bit obviously out of place. In this case, the whole build leans into the clean vibe, so it works quite nicely. We'll head on up and in. It's not something I do myself, this, but the contrast between the tiled foundation and the AstroTurf works really well. Actually, I don't even think I have the AstroTurf, come to think of it. But the contrast there works quite nicely and creates a nice through walkway. And, yeah, it's a nice kind of... I feel like you could have a garden party here. Which kind of contrasts with the witchy player name, but still. I don't know, maybe the garden party is for somebody like Hansel and Gretel. Animatronic kitty, because you got her. In fact, we've got several here, which is quite cool. Lots of vines and stuff, breaking up the outer surface textures, which really make the whole thing look more busy, which is quite cool. Can recommend as an approach if you want to make your camp look complete, go for a busy look. Build small and make it busy. I love the use of the curved rustic greenhouse roofs here. I think they work particularly well. It's a nice vibe on this one, and the contrast, again, works really, really nicely. Nice kitchen down here. A couple of flicked Tipsy Tom bars there. Nice little island and some cool merge work done on these lower counters here. Not quite sure about the thing with the hat sticking through it there, but there's in fact you can merge things into it and have it sort of show through some of the openings. It's quite fun. Something I need to remember on occasion because you can do some stuff with it. Bit of a wallpaper and poster glitch going on there, as is occasionally the way, but what can you do? Regarding the kitchen, by the way, a pro tip, if you do want to put those wall cupboards on, your best bet is put them on before the lower work surfaces go in, so put those on first. Then, after they've just snapped to the wall anywhere, turn off your snapping, toggle it off, and then manually position them. Best way to get them wherever you want them, I have found. And then you can put everything in underneath. Flat screen out there was really nicely done. I quite like the effect of that. It is a little bit non-law friendly, but as a design piece, pretty darn cool. Got some moths in the bathroom. And a nice little cosy bedroom. Yeah, the flat screen is an odd one, like I say. I do like the way it's been pulled off in this, but pretty darn sure flat screen technology doesn't exist in the Fallout universe. Not sure if it's based on some other technology that they don't have, or they just never did it on a consumer level. Because you do get kind of flat screen type displays in military installations, although those are more old school in their style, rather than consumer electronics style. But still, they have done a really nice job of creating the look there. Got a few useful bits and pieces out here. I've seen a few camps recently that have been using the Fetch Collectron. Yeah, kind of thinking maybe I should make use of that on occasion. I've got both of them, the rusty one and the non-rusty one, so you can set them up to collect whatever you like, so maybe I should do that. Not so much going on around the corner here, but a couple of essentials tucked out of the way. The punch card machine can tuck into surprisingly small gaps, so I might have saved the space around the back there and put it in amongst the workbenches myself. But I really like the tone and the cleanness of this. The kind of golden evening light that's coming on in the forest here goes really nicely with this clean camp. Even the movement from the fans out front there all add to the effect and the busyness and also the kind of clean, complete vibe that this camp has, which is really, really cool. So there we go. 3 slightly different best builds, some contrasts in there, some classic locations as well, and some really interesting builds. I hope you guys got a little bit of inspiration, some ideas from those. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate it. Hit that notification bell, and then you can catch future uploads, both of other people's builds like this and my own, because of course those will still be coming. If you get a chance, join us for live streams as well. We have just picked up Avowed, and you know what? I'm actually really enjoying that, so I think we'll be playing a fair bit of that going forwards. And yes, social media links down below if you want to check those out as well. I do appreciate. For now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.